Real talk, grinding non-stop, chasing the bag, turning your talent into money, trying to blow up before it's too late. But deep down, anxiety is hitting hard, like it's working overtime. You smile for the world, but inside, you're wondering, when do I get to actually breathe? If that just hits different, you're exactly where you need to be. Welcome to Talk the Talk with Uchepuh, where we keep it real about life, ambition, and everything we're going through. Today, we're breaking it down on how that fire called ambition can turn into straight burnout and how to win big without losing your peace along the way. And joining me today is Dr. Naja'atu. She's an expert who gets that ambition isn't the problem. It's the hidden thought pattern quietly holding us back. So welcome to this episode, Dr. Naja'atu. And before we begin, could you please tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Of course, thank you so much. Very happy to be here. My name is Naja'atu Ahmed. I am a licensed clinical psychologist and I've been practicing for over 6 to 7 years cumulatively. I've worked with children, adults, older adults, young people, and not just from an angle of my experience being a clinical psychologist. I have firsthand handling, people that have presented such cases, presented cases of anxiety, depression, you know, just basically forms of distress due to the topic that we're talking about today. So I'm very happy to be here, and I hope that we're going to have a very productive conversation, and we're going to leave
Yeah,
with hands-on tips to help anyone listening to know how to navigate.
true, true, true. I'm so excited and I'm looking
Yeah, me
forward to it.
too.
So let's jump right into it. So my
Okay.
first question would be, why do you think so many young, ambitious people struggle with anxiety today? And I would like you to speak to what you have seen, like through your experience and not the textbook definition.
Okay, thank you so much, Blessing. So first of all, before I answer the question, I just want us to highlight something. You said, why do
Okay.
young ambitious people struggle with anxiety? So before we talk about the young ambitious people, let's talk about anxiety because not everybody understands what anxiety is.
Yeah.
Basically, anxiety is an emotion, just like how you feel happy, how you can feel sad, how you can feel angry is a very normal emotion. For example, how you have an exam or you're checking on a job that you applied and then you can see that email beep and you have to check that feeling that you
Mm.
get. Sometimes your heart beats, you're feeling a bit restless, you feel like your stomach is turning, you're feeling hot and cold flushes. That's basically what we call anxiety, and it is a normal part of life. It's the same feeling
Yeah.
you get when you're expecting a visitor in your house. It's normal. And I think to a large extent, everyone feels anxiety. That is what we call non-pathological anxiety. When I say non-pathological, it means that it's not a problem. It's not clinically or medically is not a concern. So we have that type of
Okay.
anxiety, which is normal. And then we have what we call the pathological anxiety, which I would call it an anxiety disorder. This happens
Okay.
when the normal anxiety that you feel, you can cope, you can handle it. But for the non pathological anxiety, it exceeds your resources of coping. It is now affecting your sleep, it is affecting your appetite, it is affecting your relations with people. It is basically affecting your socio-occupational health. That is what we call pathological anxiety. So now let's look at the question you asked me. Why young people, ambitious people, why is this anxiety a problem? Why is it a concern? So I just want to
Yeah.
say that this ambitious and young too is a key word to take because we live in a world where the world is moving fast. We
Mm.
have young people disrupting technology. We have young people going into real estate, young people going into building, young people being CEOs and MDs. What maybe like 10, 15 years, 20 years back, it was the older population. And when I say young people, I'm talking about people, correct me if I'm wrong, people from 18 to 35
Yeah.
years would consider being youth and young. So because of how the world is moving, because of the trends, and we feel that we need to disrupt, you could tell that this ambitiousness and anxiety will be best friends. They'll go hand in hand because not everybody would probably move at that pace. So, because of how
Mm,
the world is moving, everybody is struggling to be something. Everybody is trying to get hands on something. You linked
mm,
this to my experience. I think the young people that have come into my therapy room, they don't have anxiety just because of fear. They have anxiety due to what we call pressure fatigue. It's due to the pressure that they keep on looking left and right, seeing their cousins, seeing their mates, seeing their colleagues excel, and they ask themselves, what am I doing? What am I here? So basically, I think it is because, just to wrap it up, it is because of the how fast the world is moving, how paced the world is moving, and how we just have to be quick to disrupt in order to follow up with what is with the trends. I think also because of the pressure that we attach to the youth, that you have to make it is it before you're 30, I mean after you're 30. I don't even know who makes these rules anyways. Yes. So because of the societal expectation and the culture of having to make it young, I don't know if having
mm,
to make it young, like 20 years when our parents were young, I don't know if they still have this rule. I don't know who changes the rule anyways. But then these are the factors that are contributing to anxiety, because anxiety is a feeling of worry. It's a feeling of apprehension. It's a feeling of restlessness. It's a feeling of something you need to do or you haven't done. It's not present oriented. It is future oriented. So basically, that is what I've seen. And I think that is what is contributing to why youth, it's basically the pressure fatigue. It's pressure from doing what the other people are doing and pressure to want to fit into the world. Yeah, how the world is basically moving.
okay. I really enjoyed how you answered that question. And in my head, I was just having pictures and imaginations that we have
Yeah.
something that always amplifies that, which is social media. You know, the good and the bad is just there. That's,
Yeah,
I think, one of the bad sides of social media. But I do understand. And I don't
absolutely.
know, I agree with you. I don't know who made up that rule. Like, and why do we have to go by that rule? Why don't we just, do us and then just have a happy life? So on
Exactly.
to yes, yes. So on to the next one. There's something I've noticed, right? Ambitious people are often the most fearful, um, the most self-critical people. They want to critique everything. What's actually happening in the mind when ambition turns into anxiety?
This is a very important question because this is what you see among people, not just among people that are successful, even among people that are hardworking and they're quite ambitious. I think this happens when we tie ambition to our identity. We don't see ambition as a separate entity. We tie it to our self-worth. We tie it to performance. What I basically mean is just like saying, oh, this person is an addict. No, you have to separate the person from the addiction. This is a person that has an addiction problem. And that is when you begin to find solutions. So I think we should see ambition as an entity. I mean, this is me, and this is the ambition that I'm trying to follow. Ambition should be strategic, it should have a structure. If I say it should be strategic, I mean that you shouldn't just do it. You should be able to separate yourself from that ambition. And over time, our thoughts have a lot to play on how we feel. Your thoughts are connected to your behavior. Your feelings, your thoughts are connected to your feelings and your behavior. So, and then I always say that we rewire and retrain our brain based on what we think, based on how we think rather, and based on what we do. And neurologically, if your mind or your thoughts are fixated on, oh, you know what, my ambition is tied to my self-worth. If I'm not doing well, if I fail a task, or I'm not able to do what XYZ is doing, it means I'm a failure. It means
Mm,
that, in fact, I'm finished. It means that, in fact, there's no scope for improvement for me. Neurologically, your brain does something. Your brain responds to patterns. Your brain responds to how you think. And automatically, that starts to affect your amygdala. Now, you can see how a mere thought can affect you neurologically. It starts to affect your amygdala. Amygdala is a part of your brain where it's responsible for emotional processing, responsible for thinking and making decisions, that starts to become disrupted. So I believe that there's no problem having an ambition, there's no problem being ambitious, but at the same time, it is important to see ambition as an entity by itself. This is me, and I have goals and desires that I want to work towards, but not in any way to tie it to yourself. Or you're a human being. Ambition is not a human being, so you should not be tying your self-worth to ambition.
All right. Wow, that's so insightful. Makes me
Yeah.
think of when I was in secondary school, but I'm not going to say what happened right here.
I can
Okay, so
imagine. I can really imagine, to be honest. I can really imagine. And sometimes we see failure as I am not enough or I did not succeed. Why can't we see it as, okay, I have failed, but is there a scope of being better? Okay, I have failed in this area. What can I do in the B area? Things
mm-hmm.
like that. But our thought component has a lot to do with that.
Mm. I think it's more of how do we deal with the shame? That shame that's attached to failure.
Mm,
A lot of people
that's
don't want to
another thing.
associate with it and deal with it.
That's another thing. But then now that you have said that shame, why can't we also normalize shame? Why can't we just say, oh, that job, I didn't get it to, no problem. This, it happens. I'll try again. Why do we have to hide? Why do we have to be in? I'm sure many of us, and I think this also has to do with the culture where we are not open to criticism, we're not open to rejection, we're not open to shame. But I think it is very important that parents, even when the child is small, they should be able to make them see that rejection is a part of life.
Mm-hmm.
Shame is a part of life because that also changes the thinking component as you're growing. Sometimes these things
Yeah.
are inbuilt. These things are things that we've acquired since childhood, things like
Yes,
that.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so my next question. Now, I know we've been talking. You've given us. You've answered the questions in a practical way, and let's talk more practical now. If someone listening to this episode wakes up one day and is feeling overwhelmed by their thoughts, what is one simple CBT technique they can try to begin rewiring their mindset?
I love this question very, very, very much because whatever you do, you don't talk, you leave people with hands on skills that they can do to manage themselves, at least, before it gets too overwhelming or before they're able to get, better help. For people who do not know, CBT means cognitive behavioral therapy. It is one therapy out of many that professionals use, to basically help the person restructure their thinking and, look at the thinking component because our thoughts are erroneous, our thoughts are dysfunctional, and a large part of how we think basically operate from dysfunctional and irrational thoughts that sometimes are not even factual. So what the therapist does is they help you to see these thoughts and see how you could restructure and reframe them into something more positive or more rational. So for me personally, CBT is not the only technique you could use when you're overwhelmed. I'll just give a few things that you can, including a CBT technique. The first things first, there are different types of worry. I wake up and I'm feeling overwhelmed. First of all, the first thing I'll ask myself is this feeling that I'm feeling, am I having physical symptoms? Like, for example, am I feeling racing heartbeat? Am I feeling tension, headache? Am I feeling like my breath is seizing? If that is what you're feeling, the first thing I would recommend is what we call JPMR. It's called Jacobson's Muscular Relaxation Technique. What it does is that it comes with a theory that when your mind is relaxed, your thought is like when your mind is relaxed, your body is automatically relaxed. And when your body is also relaxed, automatically your mind is relaxed. And you see that people cannot sleep when they're overwhelmed because their mind is racing. And when their mind is racing, their body is tensed. So Jacobson's muscle action technique is a technique that basically relaxes and contracts 16 different muscles of the body. I think you can find JPMR on YouTube. It's basically a
Okay.
breathing progressive technique that you also use other parts of your body. That is one. Number two, also, if you're feeling overwhelmed and you're still having physical symptoms, you could get for people that have severe anxiety and it's pathological, you could hold on to something really cold, maybe like a cold ice block. You realize that you're shifting your brain. This is just a very short tip. You're tricking your brain to pay attention to something else, which is more intense. And the third one, which is the CBT technique, basically is to look at your thoughts. I always tell my clients, I'll teach you simple tips you could do to reframe your thoughts. The first thing you would do is there's something you call thought. First of all, there's something you call cognitive errors. So there are different types of cognitive errors, and you see which one are you using. There are people that think it's either I'm a loser or I am a winner. But you don't always have to be a winner. But even if you're not a winner, you're not a loser. The people that would discount the positives, maybe like 90s have gone well in their life, and that one that they haven't gotten in their life, automatically it cancels that one. That is what we call discounting the positives. We have labeling. Labeling basically means, oh, I didn't get this task, I'm stupid. Oh, I'm still looking for a job. I'm such a failure. Oh, you're labeling yourself. We have we have overgeneralization. So the first thing to do is to identify which cognitive error you're using and try to see how you can externalize it. It's not about you. You basically, first of all, you ask yourself this thought, identify the thought and ask yourself, this thought that I have, is it a fact? Is this the truth? Or is it a prediction? So, and then how you can reframe it, for example, you go from I'm failing and running out of time to, you know what, I'm feeling pressured at the moment, but that doesn't mean I'm failing. So it's just basically grounding yourself and grounding your mind and grounding your thoughts to the present. That the present is the fact. It is not because anxiety comes from the future. So basically doing some form of cognitive restructuring. So first of all, identify the cognitive error. They're different. I think we have about over 20 types of cognitive errors or even more. Identify the one that you can associate with. Then ask yourself, is this a fact or is this a prediction? Then you make the choice.
Okay. Well, I've gotten some tips for myself. Woohoo! I'm so happy. I'm so happy right now.
You say, I'm so
I'm like,
happy.
yes, I'm like, okay, this is what I need to do when I'm feeling this. Oh, this is so, I'm enjoying it all the way through. And wow, okay, let's keep going. So the next one, in your experience working with young adults, what are the most common negative thoughts patterns youths carry without even realizing it? How do they silence or shape our confidence as youth?
So I've basically answered the question mark with the previous ones
Yeah.
that I've mentioned. It's basically the all or nothing thinking. There are times where you see people are doing good, even if they're not doing exceptionally good as they want, to be. You see people, that they're trying to do something, even if it's not going the way they're going, they do the all or nothing thinking. It's either this or that. Just like how people say he has to either be a saint or he has to be a sinner. People have to be either good or they have to be bad. But we have to understand that there are times that people can be good people, but they have their bad side. The same way people can be bad, but they have their good side is the same way that you can still fail at something and still want to be better at it, but it doesn't mean that you are a failure. That is, I've seen
Yeah.
all or nothing thinking a lot. I have seen discounting the positives, as I have mentioned, a lot. People tend to forget what has been going well for them and, at least staying there to see how they can improve on that. And they divert to what is left, what is not going well. And even that thought stems from anxiety itself. And if we're not careful, you realize that basically you're living on survival mode. You're living on autopilot mode. You're not living in the present. You're living in the future. The third one I have seen, as I have mentioned, I've seen labeling. I have seen time catastrophize or I'm running out of time. Like, if it's not happening now, it's never gonna happen. But who says that it's never gonna happen? So I think these are the most common ones that I have seen. There's also overgeneralization. One segment of your life doesn't go well, And then you say, oh, my life is terrible. Oh, I have not gotten that job. Oh, I'm still not a success. I'm still not successful at building this skill. Oh, shikena, my life is doomed. My life is finished. And ultimately, these thoughts, they are these things that weigh you down. They take away your self-worth, they take away your confidence, they even take away your competence, because sometimes you have the skill, you're competent at it, but it is because of the way you think, because of these thoughts, how they, see you less of, make you see less of yourself, they take away that confidence that is actually there, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it's
Mm.
important that we build the awareness about cognitive errors. Some people call it cognitive errors, some call it cognitive distortion. You can read more on it if you wish, but it's important to be aware and see which one you identify with and see it as a cognitive error and ask yourself, is this a fact or is this a prediction? And see how you can align.
Yeah. Okay. I think I have actually classified myself under one of this. So, and I'm like, I'm so very wrong. You're just like, no, we are guilty,
Oh,
guilty, guilty,
I can
guilty.
imagine. I can really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
honestly.
Mm-hmm.
So, the next question now. How can someone chase success aggressively without sacrificing their mental health in the process?
I think this is very important. I even see this in two ways. For someone who is already trying to journey to make it to the top, and even for we're living this category for people who are already very successful, but they don't know when to stop. And you could see how it is seriously affecting and is taking a toll on their health. And some of them will even glamorize sleep. Sleep is for the weak. Now we have to keep on grinding. You see people talking about that honestly, and they say, sleep, no. There's sleep is for the lazy. But you need to understand that ambition must have a structure. Chasing and grinding should have a structure. If I say structure, I mentioned it earlier, you should have a strategy. It should come with awareness. It should come with discipline. And when I talk about awareness and discipline, I'm talking about knowing when to work very hard, knowing when to pause when you're overwhelmed, and most importantly, knowing when ambition is turning to cruelty, knowing when ambition, the self-talk, the way you're talking to yourself, know when it is changing, when that self-talk is turning negative from, you know what, if you don't do this, come on, you're not. And this is, it's not even, sometimes it's not even what you say to yourself, it's basically how you feel and how you have built a construct about ambition. So the moment
Mm.
you realize that your self-talk is cruel, then ambition is no longer strategic, it is abusive. It is basically tying hard work. It's basically not tying ambition to your self-worth. It's basically understanding that but you understand what I'm trying to say in essence. And I think it is also important that we should understand that whatever you want to do, as long as your mental health is not in check, you cannot do it. You can't pour from an empty cup. Even if you try to get away to do, you realize that one way, either the work is affected or the people around you is affected, or you even lose what you're trying to build because your mental health is not well. So I
Yes.
think ambition should have a structure, and you cannot talk about success without knowing how to balance that. Because success itself or ambition itself, the fuel, the drive, and you spoke about being aggressively ambitious. There's nothing wrong with being
Mm.
aggressively ambitious. There's nothing wrong in yearning. There's nothing wrong in craving for more or wanting to do good for yourself, but not at the detriment of your health, not at the detriment
Mm.
of, comparing your success to someone that has made someone that has been doing what you've been doing for a very long time. Sometimes
Mm.
I like to add some spiritual components, because I usually see that there's no aspect of medicine that is closest to spirituality like mental health. There's a verse, that there's a hadith that says that don't look at the people that are above you, look at the people that are below you. Mind you, they're not
Mm.
saying don't look at the people that are above you to be inspired. No, they're saying that don't look at the people that are above you to feel that you need to compare. Oh, I need to be there. Look at the people that are below you, so you would turn and reflect. There are people that I know that they're doing so well, But the moment you say, hey, like, see how well you've come, I'm so proud of you, they don't pause. They say, there's a lot of work. No, no, don't say that. They don't even acknowledge their accomplishments. They don't take a pause to say, oh, you know what? I think I've done well. They don't say, you know what? Okay, maybe let me just take 1 week to celebrate myself. And that 1 week to celebrate myself is basically to like either leave work or to do something different. So ambition should come with celebration. It should come with reflection. It should also come with breaks. And I think one important thing that we need to understand is that rest is important. And the moment you see rest as a weakness, for me, I just tell people, you know what, can you see rest as maintenance? Not as weakness. See it as even if it's a machine that works 24 hours all the time. There are times when the machine will be tired now. Let it rest to maintain. Or the times where you want to like maybe probably adjust 1 or 2 things or replace some parts for maintenance or service it. That is basically equivalent to rest. And one thing we can do, I'm about to run out, one thing we can do to help our brain to rewire this for people that want to be aggressively ambitious. I mean, they want to be aggressively, what did you say? Is that rest should be part of your strategy. Yes, rest should be part of your strategy. It's because that was why I called it rest should be part of your strategy. Don't see it as the same way you would schedule time for other things, is the same way you should schedule time for rest, even if it is brief. That way your brain doesn't see it as something separate. Your brain sees it as this is what we need to do to align. So I hope I have answered your question.
Yes, really important. I think I didn't say guilty this time because I always take my sleep very important. Like it's something very key. I see a lot of
Yes,
my
yes.
friends or a lot of people go by that night, when it's time to rest, they're online trying to do this or trying to do that. I just be like, I just have only one
Yeah,
life to live, so I have to rest. We'll continue tomorrow. There's a reason why it's called night.
absolutely. There's this person I worked with. He was my boss, and we say, "Oh, there's a lot of he just says, "Will the world calm down?" We'll say, "No." He said,
Yeah.
Don't leave it." And there's also this thing about organizing yourself and organizing your time, and even pursuing things aggressively. That you're still not running mad. You're
Yeah.
feel like you have to basically be on the run. You can still do it well, but ambition doesn't. I even want to tell you that, does ambition have to be aggressive? That is even the
It does.
question. Ambition is already ambitious. The word itself is
Yes.
ambitious. But does ambition have to be aggressive? That is a question, because that is where, the thinking component starts. The way we see things is the way automatically we would want to behave. We would want to align
Yeah.
with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
True.
Because ambition is already a big word. Ambition is already a big word itself. You know?
Yes. True. While still
Okay.
feeling like they are processing, not slacking, like seeing themselves like they're going backwards.
Okay, so how do they establish boundaries? When you say boundaries, do you basically boundaries in what way, for example?
Boundaries, like you said, you have to have a pattern. You just have to have a strategy, right?
Okay, I understand. No,
Some
that
things
is
actually do
absolutely
take you to
important.
that. Yeah.
Yes. So that is absolutely important. Working hard is important. I don't believe that you want to lay in bed all the time and think, oh, I'll be successful or someone is going to do it for me. You have to have a
Yeah.
plan. You have to
Mm.
have a structure. You have to be determined, because honestly, you cannot be ambitious and not be determined. And I learned that ambition is not even about motivation, it's about discipline. Because sometimes we can be so ambitious, but we get tired. So, what you should aim for is not motivation. What you should aim for is discipline. But then discipline also comes with a lot of things. Discipline comes with hard work. It comes with it comes with awareness as well. It comes with setting rules for yourself and standards for it. To me, before you even want to be ambitious, you have to agree that these are the ways I want to lead my life. These are the rules I want to live by. I have to be open minded. I have to understand that it is already a risk I'm taking, because this thing that I'm
Yeah.
doing, I can fail, I can be
Mm.
rejected, I can win, I can be successful. Even if I'm successful today, something can happen. My job can be taken away from
Yes.
me. People can
Yeah.
come and overtake me, because even this thing that people do, you have to keep on updating yourself. So because you're good now does not mean that you're going to be, even if you're the spotlight of something, does not mean that you're always going to be there. So you have to set rules for yourself, and you have to sit and have a meeting with yourself and say to yourself, these are the things that will be non-negotiable to me. And those are the boundaries. Number one, my mental health. I have to
Mm-hmm.
schedule time for rest, no matter how little. Number two, self-love. When I say self-love, I mean looking at what I feed myself. The
Mm,
same way you ask yourself, am I healing myself with my diet, or am I making myself sick with my diet? It's the same way you should ask yourself, am I feeding my body the right thoughts? Number three, do I have the right attitude? Do I have the right courage? Because ambition takes courage. Courage to face trials, courage to face failure. But then at the same
mm,
time, even when these things happen, I know that it is part of life, because last, it is part of life, you know. And
mm.
also the
Yeah.
discipline and the understanding to see myself here, and that is the ambition. And even if I feel it's not tied to my self-worth, you know. So basically, I think you should have rules. You should not even start something big without having a meeting with yourself. And this thing,
Mm,
this self-introspection that you want to do, one is something that you should always go back and assess yourself. How have I been doing? Have I been doing well? Not work wise, but health wise. Have I been eating? Have I been sleeping well? Have I been taking care of myself? Have I been getting angry unnecessarily? Because you need to also look at those warning signs, you know, like getting angry easily, getting irritated, you know, appetite is poor. So you have to have those things that are non-negotiable to you, that you have to always reach out to. They're like your values when it comes to work, when it comes to seeking, when it comes to ambition. And don't forget, updating yourself and personal development should be part of it. It's
mm.
important. Yeah.
Very key. Very, very key.
Yeah.
Like you said,
Yeah.
you cannot be in the spotlight for so long. Somebody else would have the spotlight. So,
Exactly.
and finally, to our last question. If you could tell anyone or any young person that's listening one thing about their mind, their ambition, and their future, what would that one thing be?
Your mind is a
I already got
powerhouse.
my own. I've gotten my own. I think I've gotten more than.
Oh, you've gotten your own.
Yeah, so for somebody who's going to come and listen.
Okay. I think I just want to say that your mind is a powerhouse, and everything starts there, and everything ends there. Your mind is a powerhouse. It's just basically summarizing everything and tying it to ambition and tying it to success, tying it to failure. Whatever you see, two things happening to two people, but they see it, but they have a different because of the way they think towards it, or their perception towards it. Automatically, their behavior or the way they act is entirely different, you know. So for me, I'm not even saying be positive. I'm just saying that take it slowly. Even our
Mm,
fingers are not equal, as you can see. Even our fingers are not equal. And wherever life plants you, bloom with grace. Wherever life plants you, bloom with grace. Even if you haven't made it, even if you're struggling, the most important thing is to acknowledge what you're doing and see how you can be better without having to keep on looking left and keep on looking right. Where is this person or where is that person? I know that it's okay to be competitive. It's okay to compare yourself to see, oh, what is the norm? But at the same time, it's important to be kind to yourself, and self-talk is relatively important because your mind is a powerhouse. Whatever you feed it, that is what you're going to, sow. Whatever you feed your mind, that is exactly what is going to translate to. If you feed your mind healthy thoughts, you become a healthy individual. If you feed your minds on healthy thoughts, that's when depression starts to set in. That is where anxious thoughts starts to come in. That is where so many distresses start to come in. And I just want to again remind you that our fingers are not equal, but with consistency, with prayers, like me now, I used to have them, not now, but I used to have what I called my three P's in life:
okay.
patience,
Mm,
patience,
yeah.
perseverance, and prayers are my guidance genius. Patience, because God has ordained. We can't talk about this without talking about God, because in Nigeria, most of us are
Yeah.
spiritual people. There are times you see people grinding hard, but they haven't made it because what God probably has better plans for them. Maybe later, maybe not even now, maybe later. Because those people that are grinding now, in 10 years, maybe they will not be grinding again. But you that are not grinding now, in 2 years or 1 year, maybe you grind or you start. Maybe it's not even you that will grind, or maybe it is even your children that will grind. Maybe it is that your friend that is grinding that will come and help you to grind. Maybe that thing that you've been working on stuff is not that thing that will make you to be successful. So be open-minded. So patience, perseverance is basically, the tenacity. Don't easily give up. If this is not working, you can do more than one thing at the same time. Like for me now, I'm doing work. I'm trying out a business. If it doesn't work, I'm doing another thing. Don't do too many things, but you don't have to be fixated on that one thing. It's okay to be open-minded and talk to people. Then prayers is definitely it. So basically, that's just what I have to tell the youth. But then neurologically, what you feed your mind, your brain easily picks it up. But you can disrupt that. You can learn, unlearn, and relearn. You can be ambitious, but you don't have to be aggressive about it.
Mm, I do get.
Yeah.
Let me clock it like this because it's really
Clock
important.
it.
It's really,
Yeah.
really, yes. It's really,
Yeah.
really important.
Clock
I
it.
think a lot of people use it on their social media, learn, relearn, but it seems like we're just saying
Yeah.
it without paying so much attention to it.
Without
We're not
implementing
picking
that.
the things we're
Yes.
supposed to pick. Yes, we're just
Yes.
putting out there as quotes,
Yes.
but it's not
Yes.
really reflecting. Yeah. So
Yes.
thank you
Yes.
so much. Wow, I've learned a lot. I think
I've also learned a lot.
yeah. I would say the
Yeah.
guilty part is a bit. Yeah, let me not say. Let me not say
The
much.
guilt, right?
I,
You mean the guilt when someone is trying to, is it the guilt when you rest, or the guilt of what aspect of guilt to be precise?
you know when sometimes the perspective we put into things, like you said, you're grinding now. You might not blow the blow now. Somebody might blow the blow and it affects you, and then it covers you. We don't actually see it. We just feel like we just need to put in the work and it must work. We're not grateful. And then one thing you mentioned,
Yes.
9 positive things can happen, and then just because of one negative thing, we want to
Yes,
cancel
yes.
the rest. I
And
think I've
sorry to add to what you have
that.
said,
Yeah.
right? To add to what you had, do you even know what is important to me? Personally, now this is a very personal, this is not me being a clinical psychologist, this is me talking out of. And this is also, I think there should be a research backed by that. The network we're able to build is important.
Yes.
Sometimes it's not even your hard work, it is your human relation, it is your social skill that people will say, oh, you know what, people would even recommend you just because you have the social skills. Use that to know people, use that to network, and you'll be shocked about how possibly that friendship or that relationship can transform your life, even if it is not now, even if it is years to come. So that's why I'm saying one has to be open-minded. You don't have to grind in isolation, because even if
Mm-hmm.
you have a very big business or you're doing something, you can't be successful in isolation. You need people,
True.
you know.
True.
So basically,
Mm-hmm.
it is a very wide construct, and success is also a very wide. You can be successful from anywhere, you know. So basically that is it. Basically, that is
Yes.
it. Your
I
success can
did.
come from anywhere.
Yeah. I did learn a lot.
Yeah.
It's just I didn't pen
Yeah.
them down, but they're in my mind, and I'm going to go over this again and again. When I'm doing
Yeah.
my editing, I'm
Yeah.
just going to listen to it, and of course, it's reshaping
Hopefully,
my mind and thoughts.
yeah.
Yes, my thought process. So thank you so much for
Thank
availing
you.
yourself for this conversation. And I'm going to shout you out on X. I'm going to shout you out on my social media platform,
Of
especially on Instagram.
course.
So my followers
Of
and others are
course.
going to come, you know,
Of
follow you.
course,
And
of
then, of course,
course,
gain
of
more.
course. And hopefully we do this more. Hopefully, we also talk about a lot of topics that affects the youth. There's so much of them, but this is like the top of the list. It is very important. It is a very important topic, because this is seriously even affecting the productivity of our youth today. So thank you, guys. You're doing amazing, and I hope to see you
Thank
soon
you.
again. I'll be
All
waiting
right.
for your
Thank you
invites.
so much. All
Thank you.
right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a great
Take
evening.
care. You too. You too. Bye. Okay. Bye.